Hi everyone, welcome to my channel where I talk about movies. And I've been away for a while yet again, and at the end of this video I will talk a little bit, give a little bit of a medical update for those who may be interested. But the movie I want to talk about today is Seven Women. This is a film from 1965. It's directed by John Ford. It is in fact his last film. It stars Anne Bancroft, Margaret Leighton, Sue Lyon, Eddie Albert. Seven Women is a kind of old-fashioned movie for 1965. It's set in 1935, and we're in northern China, close to the Manchurian border, and it is an anarchic time. Rival warlords are on the march, ravaging towns in their destruction. The film is set, however, in a mission that is run for educational purposes. It's American run, funded, and it is also there for medical reasons. There's a doctor, there's educators, and of course there's the impulse to save souls for Jesus. It seems an unlikely place for these women. They are in fact 5 women in the beginning, or maybe even 4, and they are in a precarious position. They live in a mission compound. The leader of the group, played by Margaret Leighton, she is impervious to the dangers around her, especially from the local warlord Tunga Khan. And she says, "We're American citizens. They won't touch us." And amongst her band, there's a woman, an older woman who is in her 40s, I guess, and is going to have a baby. Her husband is there, played by Eddie Albert, and he is a rather timid. He always wanted to be a minister. There's a great shot where he's getting carried away with his young Chinese students, where he's trying to preach a sermon to them, and they are looking at him with absolutely befuddled eyes. And into the midst, there's sort of like 3 encroachments, invasions of this mission. The first coming with the new doctor that is desperately needed because there's very little medical attention being offered in these chaotic times. And they're expecting a man and they get a woman. And we get Anne Bancroft in one of her absolutely best performances. If you're an Anne Bancroft fan, you really should watch Seven Women. Excuse me. She is not, however, a Christian, and she is exactly the opposite. She's been a woman of the world, and she's had a kind of disappointing love affair with a married man, which she confesses one night when she is a little bit tipsy. And she's very disappointed that she's a woman doctor. This is 1935, and she's not being offered any kind of satisfaction. So she is fleeing the U.S. to the other side of the world just to get away from everything. And she's needed and wanted in this in this chaotic landscape. Second one is Tunga Khan has rousted a British mission, also of evangelical persuasion, and they bring disease. And then the third one is, in fact, Tunga Khan, the emergence of Tunga Khan. Now, Margaret Leighton is a very good actress. She's unusual, and she plays her part even in the beginning, and she's very strong, very stern, and very self-righteous, and she disapproves of the new doctor, and they come to odds. But there's nervous tics that Margaret Leighton shows in her performance. We can figure out early on that she is a woman on the verge of a breakdown, and she also has unnatural desires, perhaps, where it's made pretty explicit for the youngest member of this troupe, and she's played by Sue Lyon. So she is fighting repression and what her desires are tearing her apart as regards to her religion. And in Ford, Ford, this is an unusual film for John Ford because he's focusing on women, but he's usually, not always, because he has very strong women in his films, but he, always emphasized the heroics of the male figure. And we see heroics here, and that's very much a theme of Ford throughout his career. And with this sexual element to it, the screenplay was written by a husband-wife team who lived in England. In fact, they had written a screenplay for Victim, a Dirk Bogarde film that confronted homosexuality at a time when homosexuality was still illegal in Britain. And I think they also wrote Sapphire, which confronted racism in British society. So they were very socially conscious. So this theme works well in this film. I think it really does as we witness the breakdown. It's also a film about faith. It's about, will God spare us? Is there even a God out there? And so Anne Bancroft does not adhere to the Christian ideology of this group of women that she has come to live amongst, but she emblemizes Christian values, and you can really say human values. And this is very attractive to the Sue Lyon character, who has not seen this manifestation. So she becomes attracted, or at least not attracted in a sexual way, but she becomes attracted to the way the doctor, played by Anne Bancroft, is manifesting these kind of Christian values, human values. So when Tunga Khan eventually does arrive, he's sort of symbolic of the male ego run amok, of sexual desire that has run amok. And so now we come to another theme that's very prominent in John Ford's films. He made 130 of them. There's lots of themes. But that is the theme of sacrifice, and certainly this is the theme of sacrifice is very much a part of the Christian religion, obviously. And Ford admires that, of how far will we go to save the community. And this is very, in this whole element of faith and losing your faith, is very well described, I think, by Ford in his poetic vision of this story. The reception for Seven Women was abysmal in the U.S. MGM didn't like the film. They took three crucial scenes out of the film, and they dumped in New York City. They dumped it on 42nd Street as part of a double bill at a time when films that were just being cast aside would play on 42nd Street, along with the I don't think there was porno then, but the sexually licentious films would also play on 42nd Street, 42nd Street, a much different street nowadays. It did get some good reviews. Andrew Saris in the Village Voice said that Ford's poetic imagery is for the ages, and someday this film will be appreciated. I think it is getting a better reputation through the years, and certainly through the books, the scholars, the Ford scholars like Patrick McGilligan and some others, Joseph McBride, they have championed the film right from the start. I saw the film for the first time on television probably in the late 60s, so the Panavision is gone. It was Pan and Scan, black and white. No, maybe not black and white. I think we had a color TV probably by then. But the film moved me tremendously, and I've watched it through the years, and when I watched it last night again, it's such a moving story, especially when Tunga Khan comes. Now, part of the bad reception of the film is that Tunga Khan and his first officers, so to speak, are played by Mike Mazursky and Woody Strode. And, we have, even in 1967, that seemed a little bit out of place. But they actually give powerful performances. I've never seen Mike Mazursky so powerful as he is this Tunga Khan. Very scary. And then, with the compound now, with that third invasion, the drama really hits its stride. And the other thing is part of the criticism of the film is that it's a 1930s film made in 1965. And you can really see it. In fact, the screenplay was based on a short story that was written in the 1930s. Now, in that time era, with American Christians, were very concerned about the situation in China. Pearl Buck had written The Good Earth. She won the Nobel Prize, and many other films, or many other books based on her experiences in China. And Christians, evangelical Christians at that time, were still concerned about the downtrodden, whereas it seems today they're concerned about political power. So that hampers those elements, these kind of old-fashioned elements. Sue Lyon, also a bit miscast. She certainly looks beautiful, but Ford didn't want her, but she was Lolita in Stanley Kubrick's version of the Nabokov novel, and MGM was evidently trying to build her up as a star. And so the film could not be made unless Sue Lyon was in it. And there's a couple lines. She has two crucial lines that can come across as corny, and she delivers them in a rather corny manner. But nevertheless, she does exemplify the youth in the midst of all these aging women. So, and Ford does his best with her. And I think Ford really, the poetic vision is there in almost every shot. And as the film and the tension of the film builds up towards the end, in a devastating end, and a final line that I think you'll always remember, which Ford rewrote. As they were filming, the screenwriters never came to America. They didn't want to travel, so Ford used to work pretty closely with the screenwriters, but he did not have the chance for this. So Ford, I think a 4-time Academy Award winner. This final film, and I love final films. So I love the late films of great directors, the one where they seem so out of touch with, the times they were living in the latter part of their career. I think these are amazing films where so much has been whittled away, and Seven Women is really an elemental movie. It's something that is deeply personal to, you wouldn't think so, but I think this film was deeply personal to Ford, and he was quite proud of it. He thought it was a hell of a story. Okay, Seven Women. Warner Brothers released bare bones, a short archival black and white documentary showing the building of the compound, which was quite a feat. It was done on a big soundstage. There are only in the beginning titles do we see, are we outside of the compound? There's 3 scenes that are missing. Joseph McBride, Julie Kirgo, Nick Redman were all trying to restore the film a few years ago, trying to get MGM to open the vaults. Martin Scorsese got involved, but those 3 scenes are still in the vault. But in the original TV showings, they needed a longer version. This was only like 90 minutes, and they wanted to fill up a 2-hour time with commercials. So I believe I've seen those 3. They used the original, John Ford's original cut, because when I've had them described to me, I remember these scenes. So maybe someday they'll reappear on another, a much more robust release. But the film Seven Women looks beautiful, and as I said, a very poetic film. You might seem as old-fashioned, but I would give it a chance. Now for just a brief update on my health. As many of you who have watched my channel for quite some time, you know I am struggling with lung cancer, and I was on a drug that was sort of holding it all at bay, but then that stopped working. They put me on another drug about 4 months ago. I've never felt so ill in my life with that drug. I mean, it was just horrible, and unfortunately it didn't do any good. So I just started another medication, but I have been feeling well because I've been, you know, quite a few weeks since my last treatment. But now I'm taking pills every day. There's some kind of pill I can take, and I take the pills every day, so I don't have to go to the infusion center anymore. And like I say, I have been feeling better. I don't know what the effects of this new medication will be, but hopefully they won't be as severe. And hopefully I'll be able to do some more videos. Okay, thanks a lot for listening. Take care.